Gears and Gasoline are one of my favorite YouTube channels. Ben and Ben have put together an amazing thing. They create fantastic content. They've done massive road trips all over the US. They have built two fantastic time attack cars. One is the Honda Civic and the other one is the Mitsubishi Evo. Both of them have become fantastic drivers. They're pushing themselves very hard. They're pushing their boundaries, and it is very inspiring to see young guys doing this. I'm a big fan of their channel and I watch their content all the time. I watched a lot of their gridlife events, and there was something that kept popping up and playing in the back of my mind and caused alarm bells to ring for me. Ben and Ben have been pushing themselves and the equipment very hard in the pursuit for speed, the pursuit for the ultimate lap time on the day. Everybody has the same weather conditions and it's a very cool concept. Very good. But inevitably, when you're chasing speed, you're always pushing the equipment and yourself to the absolute limit, the limit of adhesion. To be able to find that limit, often you push yourself over the limit, which is exactly what we saw here.
It's okay. Holy.
So why am I talking about this? Why is this a problem? Well, it isn't a problem until it is. Let me explain. I started my motorsport career like Gears and Gasoline have. I was an absolute novice. I was a big motorsport fan. Growing up watching motorsport here in South Africa, we had an amazing series and I watched that throughout my childhood. In 2012, I decided to buy a race car and go racing and just give it a shot. So I bought a car, entered the Volkswagen Challenge, which is a regional series here in Pretoria or Gauteng, and started racing. And my second race in Cape Town, I came second and I just really enjoyed it and fell in love with the sport. In 2014, I landed a really good sponsor. The sponsor and myself, we built a car that was going to be competitive, and we got JRT Racing involved. We then went on, had a lot of trial and tribulation. In the end, won my first race in 2014, had a magnificent year, caught up to the field and ended up winning the championship. That's what these two trophies are for, and I'm extremely proud of that massive success, especially for someone that does not have a karting background. In 2015, we made the transition to Class C, which was the entry-level class, which I just won, moving up to Class B, which was extremely competitive. It was a transitional year and there were a lot of changes that had to be made to the car to accommodate the class. In 2016, I landed a really good sponsorship with HydroArc, and we went all in to try and compete for the championship and be at least at the front and getting podium positions. On a Wednesday afternoon, I was practicing. We were chasing time and we were quite a ways off of the front runners in Class B, and we were trying to figure out what was going on. I joined a new team. We were working very hard. The team had a good reputation and we were just down on time, so we were pushing. It was the last practice session of the day, and for some reason the organizers combined road cars with race cars, and on that specific session, there were a lot of incidents where road cars were going way too slow in comparison to the race cars. The speed differential was massive. The last session of the day, I came through turn 1 at Zwartkops, which is our local track. Turn 1 is blind. First of all, it's also off camber. To get the lap time and to be competitive, you need to be absolutely committed through that corner. So you turn in full throttle, you maybe feather the throttle and let the rear rotate, and it's commitment all the way. I have binned a car there and before, it's where you run off wide and then it shoots you back into the tires. But if you don't commit yourself through there, you don't get the lap time and other cars will just pull a gap on you. So I went through there pretty much last session, last few laps, and there were 3 cars. 2 of the cars, I think they were trying to avoid this Renault 5 that was all over the place the whole day. As I came through there fully committed, these cars were going at snail's pace. literally like 20 k's an hour. I was doing 130 as I went through there. This is kilometers per hour. I closed the gap on them and I came off the power, and as I did that, the rear end rotated. I caught it and it spat me off onto the dirt, which wouldn't have been a problem except there was a stationary Renault Clio on the dirt. Why am I explaining this? Well, this is a perfect example of how things can go wrong quickly. It wasn't a case that it was my fault and I cocked it up. This is a situation where an external factor got involved. Something else happened, and it was in the blink of an eye. There was an obstacle or a few obstacles, and that was it. There was a massive accident. The result of that was I landed up with a pelvic fracture, massive bruising around the groin area, blue legs. I tore the muscle off of my pelvis. I had internal bruising. I was admitted to hospital. I was in ICU for 3 days, and then from there went to the normal ward. It was pretty bad. It was a big accident. Car was completely written off. We had to buy a new shell. It was massive problem. So how does this relate to gears and gasoline? If I look at the series and I look at what the spirit of the series, the spirit of the series and the different classes is focused around street cars, which is great, and it's fantastic that they have a place for this. However, the speeds are extremely high that these cars are carrying. Now, Ben's Evo, we'll call him Evo Ben for now. Evo Ben is in the street class. His Evo makes 450 horsepower. It is madness how fast that car is, and that's in the street class. So you can see that how powerful this car is and how it's drifting out of the corners as it gets on the power. Same with Civic Ben. Civic Ben is driving really well, and that Civic has got a K24 swap. They've done massive work to that thing, and it flies. It absolutely flies. Why is this a problem? Well, it isn't until it is. You see, both of the drivers have helmets. It's mandatory to have helmets, and I think it's mandatory to have safety harness. But they don't have race suit. And why is race suit a big thing? Well, let's say you get into a big accident. Now, the speeds that these guys are carrying, God forbid, you're in a big shunt, you're knocked unconscious, and you're lying there against the tires or something when the car upside down, the thing sets alight. In an instant, you will be burnt. Wearing a fire suit can mean the difference between life or death. It sounds extreme, but it really is that important. This is why drivers and competitors wear fire suits. The same goes for a harness device. When I was in that accident, the harness did its work, the car did its work, but my body molded around the harness because of the impact. To give you an example, the distance between my driver's knee and the dash was probably that much, right? So that is 300 mils, maybe 280 millimeters. My knee got cut open on that dash because my body molded around the harness so much, and that's where the internal bruising came from. I'm harping on about this because accidents are extreme. Motorsport is dangerous. The speed that these guys are carrying, I really feel like the organizers need to focus a lot more on safety, because the cars are fast and the drivers are pushing, and they will always push because you are chasing a time, you're competitive. There's other cars that are, if you don't push, someone else will push, so you have to push. And so I believe it is very important for the organizers to enforce safety rules, especially cars that are going faster than X speed. Even though it's not door-to-door racing, it's still on-track competitive motorsport. If I was competing there and I was carrying those speeds, I would wear a fire suit. I would wear everything, and it's just for safety. It also just gives you peace of mind, and you are able to zone out and focus at the task at hand. Full harness device, fireproof underwear, gloves. It's gonna help you in the long run. God forbid something happens, you get into a big accident, the car goes up in flames, In that time that you are able to get out of the car, it could save you from third-degree burns, or even worse. Look at that incident with Roman Grosjean. He got out of the car fairly quickly, but his hands were still burnt. We've had other incidents, and so it's just a big red flag for me. But anyway, that's going to be it. Again, this is not a knock on Gears and Gasoline. They have an amazing channel. They're doing great work, and I can only aspire to be as successful as they are. But I believe that the organizers need to enforce better safety rules, and that's just for everybody's sake. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up and a like and all of that good stuff, and thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Ciao.